$6,000 and $9,000.
No. Shocked. Security.
A stunning lamp with delicate craftsmanship and an alluring glow is presented before us, drawing our gaze with its elegant beauty and timeless appeal. Fascinatingly, this lamp was crafted by the guest's father, a machinist mate in the Navy during World War II. This stunning lamp, a true hallmark of artistic ingenuity, was fashioned from a shell casing, embodying the spirit of trench art. Trench art refers to objects and artworks made by soldiers, prisoners of war or civilians during and after wartime, particularly World War I and World War II. These items were typically created from materials found on or near the battlefield, such as spent shell casings, bullets, or other remnants of war. The term trench art specifically relates to the practice of crafting these materials into functional items or decorative art. This piece stands out for its remarkable attention to detail and the precision in its creation. What truly enhances the appeal is that the guest's father sculpted this impressive rockwork at the base of the lamp in bronze, which is simply incredible. Trench art can be viewed as both a form of artistic expression and a way for soldiers to pass the time, cope with the harsh realities of war, and create something of beauty from the destruction around them. As a prime example of the craftsmanship found in trench art, the lamp would be valued at
I would expect it to be valued at $1,200.
Wow.
What stands before us is a breathtaking, meticulously preserved World War II jacket, rich in history and character. This jacket once belonged to the guest's father-in-law, who served as a radio gunner aboard a B-17 aircraft during World War II. The jacket, a Type A2, is a well-regarded choice, frequently worn by pilots and aircrew during the war. People often took great pride in personalizing these jackets, and this one is a perfect example.
What's great about this one, it's got John's name, we call him Johnny, and then it has his wife named Mary right next to it. Century bombers for the 100th Bomb Group.
While the front is beautifully adorned, the back features even more striking decoration.
There's your B-17, easy going, all the different bombing missions he's on.
The B-17 Flying Fortress was a symbol of American air power during World War II, renowned for its resilience and firepower. Designed as a long-range heavy bomber, the B-17 played a pivotal role in the Allied strategic bombing campaign, targeting key German industrial centers, military sites, and infrastructure. Despite its massive size and weight, the B-17 was remarkably durable, able to withstand heavy enemy fire and return home with significant damage. Its crew of 10, including pilots, bombardiers, and gunners, operated in unison to navigate and defend against relentless attacks. Known for its flying fortress design, with up to 13 50-caliber machine guns, the B-17 became a symbol of American tenacity. With more than 12,000 units produced, the B-17 earned its place in history as one of the most iconic aircraft of World War II, contributing decisively to the Allied victory. While jacket demand may have decreased, this one remains quite valuable as its authenticity is well documented, including a photograph of the owner in it. In an auction setting today, this jacket is estimated to be worth.
We're looking at maybe $3,000 to $4,000 today at auction.
Wow.
And it's just a great piece, and I'm really glad you brought it in.
Well, thank you. That's fantastic.
Today, we're honored to feature a deeply personal and poignant collection brought in by a guest in remembrance of her beloved uncle. This collection tells the story of his service and ultimate sacrifice aboard the USS Franklin during World War II.
I brought a picture of my Uncle Bud, who was in World War II, and he died in World War II. The certificate for his Purple Heart and his Purple Heart.
Her uncle served as a radio operator on the USS Franklin, a storied Essex-class aircraft carrier affectionately nicknamed Big Ben. Commissioned in January 1944, the Franklin earned 4 battle stars during her service in the Pacific War, participating in several critical campaigns. In March 1945, while launching airstrikes against the Japanese mainland, the Franklin was struck by 2 bombs from a Japanese dive bomber. The devastating attack claimed the life of 807 crew members and inflicted severe damage, making her the most heavily damaged U.S. aircraft carrier to survive the war. After extensive repairs, she returned to the mainland but missed the remainder of the conflict, eventually being decommissioned in 1947. The guest's uncle was among those who perished in this tragic attack. In recognition of his sacrifice, the family was presented with this beautifully engraved Purple Heart. The appraiser highlights that such medals, especially those issued to sailors killed in action during World War II, are highly collectible due to their rarity and historical significance.
We've got his rating, and we've got his name, and we see that he is a radar man.
Right.
Radar man 3rd class. They work primarily in the combat information sector.
Also included is an accolade awarded posthumously to her uncle, along with an extraordinary artifact, a fragment of the kamikaze aircraft responsible for the attack on the USS Franklin. The provenance behind these pieces is impeccable, further elevating their historical and emotional value. This collection is not just a tribute to her uncle, but also a testament to the bravery and resilience of those who served aboard the Franklin. It's a tangible link to one of the most harrowing chapters of naval history during World War II. In an auction setting with its deeply personal provenance and historical significance, this collection would be valued at an estimated
$3,500 and $4,000
For this?
for everything.
For everything. Oh my goodness.
The guest presented her father's flag, which he carried during his service in the Pacific Theater, along with his diary and a signed photograph. The flag, though rough in condition, came from his LST, landing ship Tank No. 797, and was labeled as being connected to Okinawa, where it is believed to have flown during one of the typhoons. Her father experienced 4 typhoons, and this flag is thought to be from one of them during the Okinawa campaign. A 48-star American flag from World War II is a remarkable artifact. However, its value increases significantly when connected to a specific historical event. Knowing that this flag flew above the LST-797 during the invasion of Okinawa, the largest amphibious operation in the Pacific Theater during World War II, adds substantial historical importance. Additionally, the diary, photographs, and other materials serve as the glue that ties the story together, providing context and depth to the artifact. The diary contains a particularly compelling narrative. The soldier was close to Ernie Pyle, the celebrated war correspondent, when Pyle was tragically killed. Ernie Pyle was deeply admired by the troops for living among them, telling their stories in their voices, and offering a sense of humanity amidst the chaos of war.
And it was a real dagger through the heart when Ernie died.
The diary also recounts harrowing experiences of dodging typhoons. While vessels appear massive when docked, the middle of the ocean reveals their vulnerability against the sheer force of nature. Many ships were lost to these storms, emphasizing the peril faced by servicemen. With its strong connection to the Okinawa campaign, it is believed that the flag, alongside the diary and accompanying materials, would have a conservative auction estimate of
Would be between $4,000 and $6,000.
Oh, wow. That is a shock.
Today, we're privileged to showcase an extraordinary piece of personal history, a diary belonging to the guest's father, who served as a navigator in the Air Corps during World War II.
What I brought was a diary from my father, who was a prisoner of war during World War II. He was a member of the Air Corps at that time, wasn't the Air Force.
His missions aboard B-17 bombers, flown out of England, tell a story of bravery, resilience, and survival. The guest has also brought a photograph of her father and his crew, capturing a moment of camaraderie amidst the challenges of war. This diary is in remarkable condition, a testament to the care taken to preserve it. Its cover is ingeniously crafted from a Red Cross package, ensuring its survival through the harsh conditions of wartime captivity.
So the Red Cross packages that he would have gotten his food and other things in were wrapped in this paper, which is kind of neat, and he used it to cover the journal.
One of the most poignant entries is a drawing of a silkworm, symbolizing its role in weaving the silk that made the parachute which saved the guest's father's life. It's a touching tribute to the small but vital contributions that often go unnoticed. Another significant moment documented in the diary is when he received his first letter from home in February 1945. After enduring captivity since August of the previous year, the raw emotion in his words speaks volumes about the power of connection during times of hardship. Here we see a striking illustration of him navigating a B-17, witnessing another plane being shot down, a harrowing yet vividly captured memory. We were able to locate missing action reports from the day his plane was shot down. These accounts, provided by a turret gunner in another B-17, describe the crash and the bravery exhibited by the crew.
It says, as soon as it started turning, one parachute came out but did not open immediately. Swung my turret and followed this one down, and soon after I was able to count 10 open chutes.
The guest's father survived and endured his time in a POW camp in Bath with remarkable resilience. This diary is more than just a collection of entries. It's a testament to the indomitable spirit of a man who faced unimaginable challenges and found ways to endure. With its incredible provenance, historical significance, and deeply personal nature, this diary would be highly sought after by collectors and historians alike. In an auction setting, it would be valued at an estimated,
which at auction would be in about the $2,000 to $3,000 range.
Yep.
Wonderful drawings and wonderful history in it. Thanks for bringing it in today.
No, thank you, Dad.
For many people, possessing items that belong to relatives who fought in World War II can evoke a range of emotions, from pride and nostalgia to sadness and reverence. Here we have an army jacket and a fighting knife that belonged to the father of our guest, who was in the army during World War II.
Did he talk about his service at all?
He didn't talk a lot about his service. He was proud of his service, but he didn't talk a lot about it.
The jacket on display is the Ike jacket, also known as the M1941 field jacket or the Eisenhower jacket, named after General Dwight D. Eisenhower. General Dwight D. Eisenhower was a renowned American military leader, statesman, and diplomat who played a pivotal role in planning and executing the D-Day invasion of Normandy. This jacket was a type of military jacket worn by the United States Army during World War II, and over time it became an iconic symbol of American military heritage. From the features of this particular jacket, we can deduce that our guest's father was in the 3rd Infantry Division during the war.
And we also know he was in the 3rd Infantry Division, and then his rank, which would have been technician 5th grade.
The jacket further features the famous Honorable Discharge patch, also known as the Ruptured Duck or Honorable Discharge emblem, which is a symbol of pride and service. Additionally, the jacket features the Good Conduct Medal, which is a military award recognizing exemplary behavior, good conduct, and faithful service by members of the United States Armed Forces.
This would be the French-issued Croix de Guerre, the World War II Victory Medal, and here would be his European Theater Campaign Medal.
The different stars on this jacket tell us about the various battles in which our guest's father may have participated. Interestingly, there is a patch that adds great value to this jacket, known as the Battle Patrol patch. Additionally, on display is a knife, which the appraiser suggests was made in the field of operation for soldiers to buy privately. The appraiser speculates that this amazing knuckle knife is a French blade, which makes this piece even more fascinating. As a collection, this Ike jacket and the fighting knife will command a price of
$2,000 or $2,500.
Lord have mercy.
It's great, and you should be certainly proud of your father's service.
Very much so.
What we have here is an incredible collection of memorabilia belonging to the guest's father, a veteran of World War II who served with distinction in the 507th Parachute Infantry Regiment, PIR. The collection includes uniforms and photographs, each steeped in history and significance.
He never was so cold in his life when he was in Ardennes in December of '44.
Among the photographs are two particularly noteworthy pieces, with inscriptions on the back marking them as taken in October 1945 and December 7th, 1945, near the end of the war.
He was 24 years old, and he was an instructor in England teaching the troops how to parachute.
The guest's father, wearing his 507th uniform, is a tangible connection to a unit that saw extensive action during the war. Known for their bravery, the 507th PIR participated in major operations, including the Normandy invasion and other key engagements in Europe. The centerpiece of this collection is an A2 flight jacket, a US Army-issued leather jacket primarily designed for fighter pilots. This particular jacket, made from brown steerhide leather, is distinguished by its unit insignia, a Black Widow Spider, specific to the 507th PIR.
Normally when we see these things, we're thinking fighter pilots, we're thinking bomber crew. We'd expect this to be a squadron patch, when in fact this time this is the unit insignia of the 507th Airborne.
This insignia, designed by two sergeants from the unit, symbolizes the regiment's fierce reputation.
He's got the hourglass symbol, he's carrying down the bomb and the lightning bolt.
Inside the jacket, a label from Aero Leather Clothing Company in Beacon, New York confirms its provenance, and the contract number dates its production to 1942, making it an authentic piece of wartime history.
In fact, this is, I believe, one of the last contracts that Aero had, if not the last. We have his name on the front above the patch. We also have his name inked in the liner with his service number.
The jacket remains in excellent condition, a rare find given its age and use during such a tumultuous period. Given the jacket's remarkable history, exceptional preservation, and association with the storied 507th Airborne, its retail value would be estimated at a substantial price of.
This jacket, as it sets, would have a retail value of between $3,500 and $4,000.
That's nice. I'm more proud of the service that he did. So that's, thank you for that.
War memorabilia encompasses a wide range of items collected or created during times of war, serving as tangible connections to historical events and personal experiences. Today we have items that belong to the father of our guest, who was a commander of a patrol torpedo boat during World War II. Patrol torpedo boats, also known as PT boats, played a significant role in World War II, particularly in the Pacific Theater. They were designed for coastal defense, reconnaissance, and attacking enemy ships. The appraiser immediately notes that the father of our guest was part of a very special squadron, known as Motor Torpedo Boat Squadron 15. This squadron was the first to use PT boats in the Mediterranean Sea.
It was a great squadron. They had a rather prolific combat history over there in the Mediterranean, in Africa, Sicily, Italy. The unit was heavily engaged.
There is a photograph in this collection featuring a PT boat with a victory flag at the front. Additionally, there is a plaque with the inscription MTB Ron 15 and the image of a dragon, which was likely removed from a part of the boat.
Yes. To a collector, that's a holy grail type of thing that you really don't see very often out in the world.
Interestingly, there is a painting known as dazzle camouflage or dazzle paint, which represents a unique camouflage technique used by both the British and American navies during World War I.
And of course, the concept is to make the boat look like it's going one way when it's actually going another. Okay. And just that little extra edge can sometimes be the difference between life and death.
There is also a plaque detailing his service in the Mediterranean, where he conducted patrols and reconnaissance missions, targeting German and Italian shipping and naval vessels. But the centerpiece of this great collection is this jacket, a model 1941 Army jacket, which is an iconic piece of military fashion. This jacket was designed for the United States Army during World War II. Its practical design, durability, and classic style have made it a beloved and enduring fashion staple. Interestingly, the insignia on the patch of this jacket is the same as the insignia on the plaque that was removed from the PT boat. On the reverse side of this jacket, there is a painting that depicts PT boats in action, making this jacket even more fascinating. Considering the painting on this jacket, in today's auction market, it will command a price of.
This would be in the neighborhood of a $3,000 coat.
As a collection, these items from a patrol torpedo boat commander will fetch a price of
a $7,000 to $8,000 group.
Well, I'm glad we kept it together. That's fantastic. I had no idea.
These are extraordinary collections of posters that evoke the vivid memories of World War II. According to the guest, her father, Arthur Rothenberg, was an artist during the war, serving in England throughout the entire conflict. His role was to create inspirational and instructional posters designed to motivate and guide factory production workers during the war effort.
He would roll them up in a tube and send them home to his mother. And we discovered them in my mother's closet about a year ago.
Accompanying these posters, the guest also brought in letters from generals expressing their gratitude for his significant contributions, an incredible testament to the impact of his work.
Okay.
These are a series of posters that are usually done as factory production posters, work incentive posters to get factory workers to focus more on the job ahead.
The appraiser marveled at these posters, noting that the Antiques Roadshow served as the first major documentation of Arthur Rothenberg's creative legacy. These works are masterpieces of mid-century graphic design, blending bold imagery with powerful messaging. One poster reads, "Geared for Accuracy," prominently featuring the American flag within the mechanics of a stopwatch, symbolizing precision and patriotism. Another declares, "Bonds buy bombs," a stark reminder of the importance of war bonds during that time. A third poster, "Speed and Accuracy," cleverly integrates a compass, embodying the balance of efficiency and precision. Finally, the fourth poster, "Think Then Move," encourages thoughtful action, a sentiment crucial in wartime production. Some of the posters are dated 1943, while others bear the artist's initial AR, further cementing their authenticity and historical significance.
This one you actually see his name. He wrote Arthur there on the compass, which I think is wonderful.
The appraiser praised these posters for their striking visual appeal, as well as their convenient size that makes them ideal for display. At auction, reflecting their durability, artistic brilliance, and historical value, each poster would be conservatively valued at.
I would appraise between $400 and $600 a piece, for a total of $1,600 to $2,400 for the group.
That's very nice, thank you.
This collection of buttons presented by the guest today serves as a poignant reminder of the historic events at Pearl Harbor. The guest inherited these buttons from his father, a veteran who witnessed the bombing of Pearl Harbor firsthand.
Pearl Harbor at the time, he was on a ship called the USS Tern, which was a minesweeper and commonly known as a bird boat.
According to the guest, his father's involvement with the Pearl Harbor Survivors Association inspired him to gather these pins and buttons over the years. On December 7, 1941, Pearl Harbor transformed from a quiet naval base into the epicenter of devastation. At dawn, the skies darkened with the silhouettes of Japanese aircraft, unleashing a surprise attack that shattered the harbor's calm. Explosions echoed as battleships were bombed and lives were lost. Over 2,400 Americans perished, and the USS Arizona sank, becoming a grave for hundreds. This single event reshaped history, pulling the United States into World War II. Today, Pearl Harbor stands as both a solemn reminder of sacrifice and a symbol of resilience, its waters forever echoing the stories of that fateful day.
This material was produced after Pearl Harbor. Of course, it was a traumatic event in our history to be so unprepared for something.
Each piece in this collection was created shortly after the Pearl Harbor incident as a powerful symbol of encouragement. Some pieces in the collection, the appraiser notes, are completely new to him, adding to their rare and unique value.
Some of these pieces I've never seen before. This one here, the 3 bombs, remember Pearl Harbor. I think it's just an amazing example of what we call war jewelry.
One such piece is this lady's compact, which remains in outstanding condition.
Some of this jewelry work over here is extremely rare. They were done in Hawaii mostly and didn't even come over to the mainland. Right. So he was quite an avid collector.
From this collection, it's evident that the guest father was a dedicated and enthusiastic collector. Undoubtedly, these items served as impactful tools during the war, and the collection as a whole carries an auction estimate of
a value of something between $700 and $1,000.
That much?
Oh yeah. Well, some of these pieces just don't appear.
Posters have been a crucial tool in wartime propaganda and mobilization efforts, serving as a visual medium to convey messages, evoke emotions, and inspire action. These posters were purchased for $100 at an estate sale by the mother of our guest.
Every time we go and visit my parents, they give us something to take home with us, and so she gave us these, and here we are.
These posters are called the Four Freedoms, a timeless symbol of American ideals. They were created in 1943 by an artist named Norman Rockwell. Norman Rockwell was a renowned American artist, illustrator, and painter, best known for his realistic and often sentimental depictions of American life. These posters were inspired by President Franklin D. Roosevelt's 1941 State of the Union address, in which he outlined 4 essential human rights that should be universally protected.
And this was basically as America was just beginning to get into the Second World War, and Roosevelt's speech to Congress was aimed at preparing America for the coming war.
Franklin D. Roosevelt was the 32nd President of the United States, serving from 1933 to 1945. He played a significant role in shaping the country's response to World War II. Interestingly, some of the words used in this address were specifically incorporated in the design of these posters. They include:
these were the freedom of speech, the freedom from want, freedom from fear, and freedom of worship.
Furthermore, after taking it upon himself to create these paintings, Norman took them to the Office of War Information with the aim of using them to promote the war effort. However, they were rejected. Not discouraged, Norman decided to use these posters in the Saturday Evening Post, where he worked. The public reacted positively, which ultimately prompted the government to accept them.
And what happened was the government took the 4 paintings and took them on tour across America and used that as part of the fundraising drive.
On the bottom of this poster, there is an inscription that carries the name Office of War Information and the date the posters were printed, 1943.
And then, very curious for government posters, it says additional copies may be obtained upon request from the Division of Public Inquiry.
The appraiser notes that the government issued these posters in 3 different sizes, and these particular ones are the largest size. Furthermore, he comments that while many of these posters were printed in those days, they were not considered rare. Interestingly, however, he had never seen all 4 posters displayed together at once. Considering that they are displayed together, and the significance of these posters, in today's auction market, these posters will command a price of.
And I would estimate the 4 at $4,000 to $6,000 for the group.
Oh, that's great.
This is not just a piece of equipment, but a connection to a pivotal chapter in naval history, making it a prized collector's item and a potential centerpiece for a museum display.
I got it from my wife, who is a teacher at West De Pere High School in De Pere. They were renovating the high school about 15 years ago.
Presented is an SD-3 long-range air search radar, a remarkable piece of military technology with a fascinating history. Originally developed for small craft, this radar holds particular significance for collectors, as it was used in American submarines during World War II. Mounted on top of the radar mast of the conning tower, the SD-3 radar played a crucial role in the submarine's operations.
And his widow decided that she didn't want all this junk around, didn't want to restore a PT boat, and decided to donate the electronics and the radar unit to the high school.
Submarines' primary wartime enemy was enemy aircraft, making this radar a critical component for survival. In modern times, we typically think of submarines as vessels that submerge and remain underwater for extended periods. However, during World War II, submarines were more accurately described as submersibles, surface vessels capable of submerging. They spent much of their time on the surface, especially at night when they would use lookouts in the periscope shears and operate search radars like the SD-3. The radar would provide crucial early warning of enemy aircraft up to 6 to 25 miles away, giving submarines valuable time to react or dive to safety. Finding comparable values for such a rare piece is difficult, as these radars seldom appear on the market. Given its historical significance and rarity, a retail value for this SD-3 radar today would be expected to fall within a neighborhood value of
$3,000 to $5,000.
Wow. Okay. Nice.
Theodore Ehlert, a name not widely known but associated with the fascinating world of trench art, created remarkable works of ingenuity and emotion during World War I. Presented here is a stunning trench art lamp, crafted by Ehlert in 1919, likely reflecting the wartime conditions and the resourcefulness of soldiers in Europe.
Because the shaft here is an artillery shell.
This lamp is an elaborate piece, showcasing bullets meticulously arranged around the shade. A single bullet serves as the finial, demonstrating creativity and attention to detail. It is signed by Ehlert, a rare and personal touch that adds to its historical and collectible value. What makes this lamp particularly unique is the engraving of a dog, thought to represent his favorite companion, a touching detail that offers a glimpse into the maker's personality amid the harshness of war. Trench art like this lamp was often made by soldiers or civilians using spent shell casings, bullets, and other materials found on the battlefield. These items serve as poignant reminders of wartime resilience and artistry, preserving the stories of those who crafted them. In excellent condition, this lamp stands as both a functional object and a historical artifact. At auction, its uncommon craftsmanship, detailed personalization, and exceptional provenance would command a significant value, estimated at
Good auction, this lamp might bring somewhere between $1,500 and $2,500.
Great.
This intimate collection of memorabilia provides a unique window into the life of a prisoner of war during World War II, a personal and poignant record of their struggles and survival. The artifacts on display hold a deep personal connection, as they once belonged to the father of our guest, who bravely endured life as a prisoner of war. As the son of a prisoner of war, our guest provides a unique and emotional perspective on his father's journey, shedding light on the triumphs and tribulations of a life forever changed by war.
But he was in prison camp, or as a guest of the emperor, as he used to call it, for 39 months, and then returned to Spokane and ended up having a great life.
According to the appraiser, these artifacts collectively form an extraordinary archive of the guest's father's wartime experiences, highlighted by a most unusual and captivating diary. Inscribed on the mess kit, a dual-purpose artifact, are diary entries that recount a tale, elaborated upon by our guest.
He was first captured, he was in Cabanatuan prison camp, and then, as I said, he moved to Japan, went to Sakurajima prison camp, and then ended up in Akinobi.
As a prisoner of war in a Japanese camp, life was a relentless struggle for survival. Days blended together in a haze of hunger, exhaustion, and brutality. The scent of decay and death hung heavy in the air, a constant reminder of the fate that awaited those who faltered. Beatings, torture, and humiliation were routine, designed to break the spirit and crush the will. But even in the darkest moments, there were glimmers of hope. A whispered word of encouragement from a fellow prisoner, a stolen glance at a makeshift calendar, or the faint sound of Allied planes flying overhead. Despite the unimaginable hardships, prisoners found ways to resist, to adapt, and to hold on to their humanity. They formed secret bonds, shared what little food they had, and risked their lives to care for the sick and the wounded. The mess kit's reverse side features a list of names that appear to have been deeply meaningful to the guest's father.
He never talked about this experience very much at all, so I don't know who these people were, but these were friends of his that he wanted to make sure he knew where they were after the war.
Among the treasures in this collection are several other remarkable artifacts, skillfully identified and interpreted by the appraiser.
These are artifacts from his time in that experience. He's got his timesheet and then his identification tag from the Mitsubishi company.
They have the same logo back then as they do today.
Surviving prisoner of war artifacts are few and far between, which makes this grouping particularly valuable, with an estimated worth of
I would expect to see a retail value of $3,000 to $3,500.
Interesting.
A naval officer's helmet is a symbolic artifact that represents leadership, authority, and the weight of critical responsibilities in service. Here is one belonging to Captain James Earl Arnold, a remarkable piece of history. Captain James Earl Arnold was the naval officer in charge, NOIC, at Utah Beach, one of the 5 sectors of the Allied invasion of German-occupied France during the Normandy landings on June 6, 1944, known as D-Day, a role critical to the success of the operation.
The D-Day invasion at Normandy is one of those moments in world history where the course of the world hangs in the balance.
The guest acquired the helmet from his grandmother, Captain James Arnold's sister. The helmet prominently displays the designator NOIC on the front, with similar markings assigned to other members of his team for identification. However, the captain's eagles prominently distinguish his helmet from those of the other team members. It is an early production World War II M1 helmet, distinguished by a front seam on the brim. The interior of the helmet bears markings that read Captain Arnold. On the reverse of the helmet is a stenciled marking, USN, United States Navy. Accompanying the helmet is a photograph of Captain Arnold wearing it, likely taken on June 6, 1944. In the image, he is still wearing his invasion lifebelt, confirming his presence in Normandy during the historic landing. Notably, the stenciling on the helmet is slightly off-kilter, matching the details seen in the photograph, which authenticates its provenance.
Real unicorn in the World War II collecting realm.
This helmet symbolizes Captain Arnold's key role in ensuring the success of the D-Day invasion, a turning point in world history. His leadership and planning were vital to the operation, which ultimately contributed to the liberation of Europe.
A, trying to keep it a secret. B, the tides have to be just right. They have to have a full moon because the airborne has to be able to pick out their targets.
Given its provenance, condition, and accompanying documentation, this piece is estimated to fetch an auction price of...
I would put an estimate on the item between $30,000 and $40,000. Wow.
Presented here is a World War II Army Air Corps A2 flight jacket, which would have been worn by individual fighter pilots. Additionally, some members of bomber crews also wore this type of jacket. The guest brought in this jacket, which was owned by a gentleman from whom the guest purchased the house.
The unit caught some flack, and so I have a bit of the parachute. I know he was in the hospital for his shoulder because he had some shrapnel and flak, but that's all I know.
Originally, the jacket was made by the Cable Raincoat Company, and the contract date indicates that it was manufactured in 1942. These jackets were made from goat skin and horsehide, but this particular one is made from horsehide, not goat skin. On the left side of the jacket is the 390th Bomb Group patch. As the jacket is turned around, insignia from the plane Prowlin' Tom can be seen, featuring a wonderfully painted cat on the back, which appears to be emerging from a cloud. On the bottom of the jacket, 26 bombs are painted to represent the 26 bombing missions completed. Regarding its condition, there is damage to the shoulders caused by it being hung on a coat hanger for an extended period.
It needs to go in an acid-free box with some acid-free paper and kept flat.
The paintwork on the jacket is fantastic, and the artwork significantly contributes to its value. At auction, this item, with its impeccable design, would be valued at a significant amount of.
Auction value for this would be between $6,000 and $9,000.
No!
Yeah, it's a really nice jacket.
Wow, that's wonderful.
Possessing a collection of items that belong to a family member can create a sense of connection, emotional comfort, and responsibility. This collection of military items from World War II belonged to the father of our guest, who served in the US Navy. The appraiser immediately acknowledges that this collection is an interesting group, as his attention was first drawn to the orders.
Here it says Blimp Headquarters, Squadron 1. And the U.S. Navy was in charge of all lighter-than-air, non-rigid airships.
However, the major items of focus are the photos of the U.S. naval airship, which represent a history of maritime aviation. Naval airships, also known as naval dirigibles, have played a significant role in maritime aviation since the 20th century and were crucial during World War II. These airships were designed for naval operations, providing reconnaissance, surveillance, and communication capabilities for naval fleets.
They were also used for escorting convoys in the ocean. Of the 89,000 or so ships that these airships escorted, not one was sunk.
According to the appraiser, the major advantage of an airship over an airplane is its ability to stay in the air for longer periods, up to 60 hours at a time. Taking a look at the flight log, also known as a pilot's logbook or flight diary, one would discover a record of our guest's father's flights, detailing important information about each flight. Furthermore, the appraiser notes that the photographs on display are Navy press photos, which makes these photos particularly fascinating. One of the photos features the father of our guest, with the appraiser noting that it was unusual to have a naval press photograph of any individual. Alongside other items on display is the dog tag of our guest's father, which is a metal tag that contains vital information about him while also serving as a means of identification. Also featured in this collection are the wings, which must have been presented to all aircrew members.
Versus pilots. The pilots and aircrew had two different kinds of wings, and this one had places on top where it might have seen battle stars if he had been in combat engagements.
Considering that this collection represents a complete set of items that collectors often seek, the insurance value of these items will be.
I would put an insurance value on it in the $3,000 to $5,000 range.
That's fantastic. Won't ever sell, it's going to stay in the family.
Presented here is a jacket that originally belonged to the guest's maternal grandfather, H. Dwayne Stratton, a World War II pilot who conducted bombing raids over Europe and was later inherited by the guest. The guest has owned the jacket for about 10 years, but recalls seeing it since he was a child. The jacket is an A2 flight jacket, a style worn by Army aviators starting in the 1930s. Although these jackets were reinvented in the 1980s, this particular piece is an authentic World War II example. The contract label provides detailed information about the jacket, indicating that it was manufactured by the Duval Company in Chicago. The contract number identifies this jacket as part of Duval's fourth and final contract, initiated in June 1944.
So collectors will collect them by contract. But this one's a little better than even just a regular A2.
The front of the jacket features the name and insignia of the 8th Air Force, specifically the 8th Air Group, which flew strategic bombing missions over Germany and occupied Europe from bases in England. Each painted jacket is a unique artifact, with its value and interest level influenced by the quality of the artwork. This jacket features silver letters with blue shading and a detailed depiction of a silver B-17 bomber, making it particularly spectacular. A yearbook confirms the guest's grandfather served in the 490th Bomb Group, which began bombing missions over Germany in June 1944 and supported D-Day operations. Also accompanying the jacket is a photograph of the grandfather, showing him as a lieutenant in uniform.
And he was a pilot.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and he trained here in Oklahoma, and then they sent him over to England, I guess.
The photograph depicts him in front of a B-17G Flying Fortress, a model his group transitioned to in August 1944 after initially using B-24 Liberators. The artwork on the back of the jacket features a flying fortress, aligning with the aircraft shown in the photograph. The value of this jacket lies primarily in the exceptional quality of its artwork, which elevates it from a historical artifact to a collector's piece. This particular jacket, distinguished by its remarkable condition, provenance, and exceptional artistic features, is valued at a retail price of
between $2,000 and $2,500.
Oh wow, that's really nice to know. That's great.
Some stories of bravery and sacrifice come to us through cherished family collections, and today's guest has brought an extraordinary one. Inherited from her father, who served during the Second World War, this collection is a poignant reminder of courage, camaraderie, and the cost of war.
Well, my father passed away 2.5 years ago, and as I was going through his stuff, I found this box, and this was his cousin. They were all in World War II together.
Her father, a glider pilot, took part in the daring Operation Market Garden. This Allied military campaign aimed to secure a critical invasion route into northern Germany by capturing bridges in the German-occupied Netherlands. While the operation succeeded in capturing Eindhoven and Nijmegen, it tragically fell short of its ultimate goal, securing the bridge at Arnhem. The British 1st Airborne Division endured devastating losses, with only 4,000 of their 12,000 men escaping capture or death. Among the items in this collection is an emergency map, meticulously marked with the Arnhem area where the invasion unfolded. Her father's glider was captured by the SS Panzer Division, and he was taken as a prisoner of war, a fate that also befell his cousin, who tragically did not survive the war. This collection was instrumental in applying for a prisoner of war medal in honor of his cousin, a testament to their enduring bond. The collection includes a German language ID card, likely issued at the commandant's office in the POW camp, as well as a logbook, his glider wings, and a US flag patch that would have adorned his uniform. These artifacts paint a vivid picture of his wartime experience. Perhaps the most touching items are the personal pieces, an intricate sketch of his room in the POW camp, cartoons he created to uplift spirits, and letters sent home via the Red Cross in Geneva.
This I thought was fascinating. I think you indicated to me that a fellow prisoner did this artwork showing the inside of the barracks where he actually slept and the barracks building where they were housed.
These items offer a glimpse into the resilience and humanity of soldiers, even in the darkest of times. This collection isn't just a family heirloom, it's a time capsule of history, sacrifice, and survival. The appraiser notes its great sentimental value, but when translated into monetary terms, its estimated value at auction would be
Retail level, probably somewhere $4,000 to $5,000 range, especially with all the other things that we're not showing.
That's great.
The artifacts presented represent a significant piece of World War II memorabilia. They were passed down from the guest father, who served in the medical corps of the 361st Station Hospital during his deployment to the Philippines.
They sailed up Hiroshima Bay and stopped in Kure, where there was a naval hospital. They were just 10 miles from Hiroshima, which had just been bombed 3 weeks earlier.
During his father's time in Hiroshima, providing medical care after the bombing, they encountered complete devastation. Amidst the rubble, his father discovered artifacts that had survived the blast, left over from the explosion, and were blasted with sand that turned to glass from the intense heat. When the guests brought these artifacts to light, their significance was immediately apparent. It was striking to think that American GIs were among the survivors, present in the aftermath of such a catastrophic event. The profound impact of holding these artifacts cannot be overstated, knowing that they were in someone's home when the bomb exploded. However, experts have explained that dust and particles in the air were transformed into glass, and some support the theory that glass from the surrounding area melted onto the objects. Artifacts like these hold tremendous value, not only as historical items, but as poignant reminders of the atomic explosion at Hiroshima. Their mere existence is of profound importance, evoking reflection on the tragic nature of the event, which is why some may feel uncomfortable assigning a monetary value to them. Nonetheless, artifacts such as these are highly sought after by collectors and museums, eager to preserve and share the story of the atomic bombing. From a monetary perspective, the retail price for such items on the market today would likely be
On the market would be between $2,000 and $3,000.
This incredible sink, passed down to the guest from his father, comes from Groton, Connecticut, renowned as the submarine capital of the world. Submarines are deeply ingrained in the culture of Groton. The guest father, after graduating high school in 1939, earned an apprenticeship at Electric Boat, where he contributed to the design of World War II submarines.
And he helped to design World War II submarines. He went into the Navy in the submarine force during the war. Then after the war, worked for the Navy Department. And it was at that time.
During the 1950s, many World War II submarines were being disassembled.
Better than anybody how precious every square inch of space is on a fleet boat in World War II.
When submarines went out on their World War patrols, they were packed to capacity with supplies. Furthermore, crews often stood on top of canned food and rations, as every available space was utilized for materials needed during their missions. When in use, the hot and cold water taps provide easy access to fill the basin.
All that water that you have used goes right into the drain that's built into the bottom of it.
The mechanism is intuitive and enjoyable to operate, making the sink both practical and a conversation starter. The sink itself is crafted from stainless steel, while its fittings are made of chrome or plated brass. Over time, areas of wear have revealed the underlying brass, adding character to the piece. Its unique design makes it not only visually interesting, but also highly functional. However, with the growing trend of tiny homes, this piece aligns perfectly with the modern emphasis on space efficiency and utility. On today's market, this sink would have a significant retail value of
between $2,000 and $3,000.
Wow, that's more than I would have expected.
The guest's father served as a member of the 701st Military Police Battalion in China immediately following World War II. Among the artifacts associated with this period is an airman's patch, specifically used by those who flew the perilous route known as the Hump between India and China. This route was fraught with dangers, as airmen faced challenging terrain and the constant threat of being shot down. The patch, a vital tool for survival, was often accompanied by a blood chit.
This is what is known as a blood chit. A blood chit was something that was used by airmen, so if they were shot down...
These chits bore inscriptions in local languages, pleading for assistance and offering a reward for safe return. One such inscription typically read, "I am friendly. Please take me somewhere safe and you will be rewarded." The chit's purpose was to encourage indigenous communities to protect and guide airmen to safety, rather than harm them or turn them over to hostile forces. The blood chit represents a remarkable historical artifact, embodying the resourcefulness and resilience of airmen during wartime. Its value extends beyond its utility, symbolizing the trust and cooperation between soldiers and local populations. As a piece of military history, the blood chit is a tangible connection to the courage and ingenuity displayed during one of the most challenging conflicts in modern history. Should this artifact be placed in an auction, it would likely attract a significant amount of
the pilots and get them home safe.
Displayed here is a rare and sentimental piece of World War II memorabilia, a beautifully crafted pin that holds deep personal and historical significance. Originally belonging to the guest's mother, this pin connects directly to the guest's father, who served as a second lieutenant on a PT boat during World War II.
Now, where the diamond came from, I have no idea, but my aunt, her sister, who is still alive, said that my mother was famous for taking all the inherited jewelry.
The PT boats, nicknamed Mosquito boats due to their speed and agility, played a crucial role in naval operations, and this pin pays tribute to that legacy.
That she thinks it was made by a man named Willard Davis from Wilmington, Delaware.
I did some research, and he was in fact a jeweler in Wilmington, Delaware.
This pin is adorned with a unique depiction of a mosquito, an unusual motif for the time and one rarely seen in Victorian-inspired designs.
And had 2 of these torpedoes, which I tested. It happens to be in white gold.
The appraiser noted its distinctiveness, emphasizing that he had never encountered another pin like it, especially with such attention to detail. The mosquito, perched elegantly on top, is further enhanced by the inclusion of a diamond, adding a touch of refinement and allure.
So he accented it with a big diamond. A diamond weighs about 1.5 carats, and it's an old mine diamond.
This piece is categorized as sweetheart jewelry, a type of adornment popular during World War II, gifted by service members to their loved ones as tokens of connection and remembrance. The combination of its craftsmanship, rarity, and connection to the PT boats elevates its value both emotionally and historically. At auction, given the provenance, rarity, and exquisite design, this pin would command a substantial value of
$2,000 to $3,000.
Wow.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's great. Security?
The memories of war can evoke strong emotions, ranging from sadness and grief to anger and guilt. These emotions may be characterized by flashbacks. Here we have a war log that belonged to the father of our guest, who was a prisoner of war during World War II. This wartime log was distributed to prisoners by members of the Red Cross, who played a crucial role in World War II by providing humanitarian aid. Interestingly, when the Red Cross left, most of these wartime logs were confiscated by the Germans. However, her father was able to keep his own.
He had a job where he cleaned the latrines, and he built this shelter in the latrines, and that's where he would keep it.
Most of the entries in this logbook were written at night by the owner and some of his friends, who were captured alongside him.
Draw pictures and tell stories, so it's pretty much 18 months of my father's captivity.
This logbook features the dog tag of our guest's father on the front page. The appraiser speculates that this dog tag was added after the war. Noticeably, the dog tag is not the original one he was issued as an American military personnel, but rather the one given to him at the Stalag where he was kept. The logbook also features a drawing of a B-17 aircraft, which the appraiser speculates may have been drawn by our guest's father or one of his friends. Alongside the logbook is a prisoner of war form, which was supplied by the Germans for every prisoner in the camp.
And kept track of him while he was a prisoner. It gives a little bit of other details, date of birth, and next of kin. We also know he was flying in a B-17.
Furthermore, there is a mugshot of our guest's father with a number below his name. This number would have been used to keep track of him as a prisoner. In the logbook, there are some telegrams that were sent to the grandmother, offering a glimpse into some of the activities that occurred during that period.
But looking through there, you could see how horrific it was. The living conditions, the food, the varmints that walked around that they lived within.
The last telegram in this collection features our guest's father announcing his return to his family after 18 months of captivity.
What a great end to the story, that he was able to make it back safe.
Yes.
And all he wanted was a bath.
Yes.
In today's auction market, these prisoner of war items could fetch a price of.
Auction, this is somewhere in the $1,500 to $2,000 range as a memento of the service that he provided to the country.
This knife, a stunning piece of craftsmanship, belonged to the guest father, who was raised in David City, Nebraska. Its origins are tied to a remarkable story of patriotism and skill, as it was crafted during World War II by a local blacksmith, Floyd Nichols, along with 2 other blacksmiths. The appraiser, clearly impressed by the knife's history and workmanship, identified the maker as Floyd Nichols, whose name is inscribed on the blade alongside David City and the abbreviation for Nebraska. Floyd Nichols, a World War I veteran, transitioned from welder to sculptor and answered the country's need for knives during World War II.
When the war first broke out, there really weren't enough knives for every soldier that went into service, and the government asked.
His dedication resulted in the production of approximately 1,200 knives, each reflecting a master's touch. During that era, many individuals made their own knives, but Nichols' creations stood out for their superior quality and design.
They were using war materials, and the government really would rather make their own knives versus other people making knives using these materials, but it wasn't so frowned upon that it was stopped.
This particular knife is a testament to his artistry. It features an elegant handle and blade with attention to detail that collectors deeply admire.
Nicely tooled leather, also with your father's name and service number, and then Cornish signed it up at the top here.
Adding to its significance, the guest's father's name and service number were inscribed on the crossguard, making it a deeply personal and unique artifact.
He also had a buddy who was a saddle maker. His name was Alfred Cornish, who helped make these wonderful sheaths that they were in.
This knife represents the highest level of knife craftsmanship, combining historical value, personal significance, and aesthetic beauty.
Earlier knives by Nichols sometimes even had a little buffalo nickel in it because his last name was Nichols. The blade would be steel and the handle would be brass or bronze.
In a retail setting, given its provenance and exceptional workmanship, this knife would command an estimated value of
somewhere in the $2,000 to $3,000 range.
Oh, goodness.
The guest brought a pin that her uncle Shiro made while he was in the Poston internment camp. Shiro gave the pin to his sister-in-law, who passed it to the guest, and the guest framed it with a story and a photo of the camp.
No, he passed in 1956.
Another artifact the guest possesses is a photograph of her uncle, Shiro, receiving his internment order from a soldier.
He was living on Terminal Island, that was located in California.
The photograph captures a soldier, armed with a bayonet, handing the evacuation order to him. Residents of Terminal Island were given orders to evacuate and relocate to internment camps. The guest's uncle was transported to the Poston relocation camp in Yuma, Arizona, where he remained from 1942 to 1946, according to records the guest uncovered in the National Archives. Historical accounts reveal that many Japanese Americans were given just 48 hours to gather their belongings and leave. In some cases, men were sent away, leaving women to care for the children.
My paternal grandparents and my maternal grandparents were too far inland, so they were not interred.
During the war, families endured additional hardships. For instance, the guest's mother, grandmother, and grandfather owned a farm in a small Utah town where they faced hostility.
And they're trying to push my grandfather's tractor into the lake, and my grandmother tried to stop him, and they pushed her down.
Their house was egged, and a teacher taught children to chant "Go home." Even churches were not immune, as Japanese Americans were asked to leave places of worship.
My mom said that if she were in a relocation camp, they probably would have been safer.
From this tragic chapter in history arose a profound artistic expression. The pin, believed to have been crafted by the guest's uncle, was made from sagebrush and painted with remarkable skill. It exemplifies the resilience and creativity of those in internment camps. Similar expressions of art, often termed trench art, have been documented among soldiers and detainees during the First World War.
I find it interesting that this artwork that we see represented typically reflects the culture of those who are in that circumstance.
This piece represents the cultural traditions of Japan as manifested through internment camp artwork.
The level of detail is beautiful. It's really pretty exquisite.
The pin stands as a poignant reminder of the disrespect and suffering endured by Japanese American citizens during this time, highlighting the injustice of their treatment. Artifacts like this hold immense cultural significance within the Japanese American community. Because of this, their appearance on the market often stirs strong emotions and, at times, offense.
And then there are museums that can curate a tiny percent of what needs to be saved, and then there's the collecting community that steps in to do the rest.
These objects are more than historical items. They are conduits to the past, evoking deep feelings for the families connected to them.
There's the building blocks of making sure that we respect one another as human beings, and we don't let things like that happen again.
If one of these artifacts were to come up for sale, it would carry an estimated retail value of
$1,000 to $1,500.
Today we have an incredible piece of history on display, a World War II memorabilia collection that tells a heroic and tragic tale.
collection of World War II memorabilia from my husband's uncle, and he was a co-pilot on bomber planes in World War II.
Inherited from the guest's husband's uncle, this collection offers a glimpse into the life of a brave U.S. Army Air Force's co-pilot.
Mother-in-law's farm, where of course he grew up as well.
Sure.
I just happened to be up in the attic one day and came across this amazing collection, which eventually my husband and I inherited.
Who served aboard a B-17 bomber named Old Soldier. The Old Soldier holds a unique place in history as the first all-American crew to drop a U.S. bomb on German soil. This collection captures that pivotal moment and so much more. Let's start with this remarkable photo of the co-pilot and his crew, signed by all the members. Another image shows the guest's relative seated at the controls of the bomber, a powerful reminder of the courage it took to take flight during such dangerous missions. Here we have the pin pulled from the very first bomb dropped on German soil by the Old Soldier, complete with an inscribed tag.
Safety pin from first bomb to hit German territory from USAAF. The target was Wilhelmshaven, and it even says the name of the plane, Old Soldier.
The pilot of the Old Soldier, First Lieutenant Keith Orland Bartlett, tragically lost his life shortly after the bomb was dropped. For his bravery and sacrifice, he was posthumously awarded the Purple Heart, engraved with his name. This is an earlier version of the medal, distinguished by its enameled center. Additionally, the collection includes the Air Medal, designed with an oak leaf cluster, also bearing Bartlett's name and the letters AC for Air Corps. Adding a touch of camaraderie to this collection is a short snorter, a folded bill that soldiers would carry and present at bars to earn drinks. It's a charming artifact that speaks to the lighter moments shared by servicemen during a harrowing time. The appraiser commends the guests for preserving this collection so meticulously. It's a complete time capsule, showcasing both the valor and humanity of those who served. With its historical significance and exceptional condition, this collection would be highly sought after by collectors who would value it at
$3,000 to $5,000.
Wow.
It's quite an impressive group, and you should be very proud of his service, and I'm really happy to have seen it.
We are. Thank you very much. Wow.
Imagine holding a piece of history that not only tells a story, but connects you directly to some of the most iconic figures of World War II. That's exactly what we have here today, a magnificent register.
It was through an estate auction of the Russell & Russell estate, and I thought it was a steal at $350.
And that was how many years ago?
2.
This isn't just any ledger, it's a hotel register from Paris, dating from September 1944 to June 1945, capturing the names of over 4,000 individuals who stayed there during a pivotal moment in history. The appraiser highlights that while this book primarily documents officers, it also features the signatures of some legendary figures. One standout name: the beloved American singer and actor Bing Crosby, who was in Paris performing with the USO to boost morale. Another gem in this treasure trove is the signature of Marlene Dietrich, the iconic German-American actress and singer, known for her anti-Nazi stance and unwavering support for the Allied troops. The guest mentions other notable names he'd spotted in the register, including General James Doolittle, famed for leading the daring Tokyo raid. What makes this piece even more extraordinary is its impeccable preservation. Despite its age and heavy use, the register remains in remarkable condition, a testament to its historical and monetary value. This register isn't just a collection of names, it's a vivid snapshot of a critical time in Paris during World War II. From officers to celebrities, it's a tangible link to the past. At auction, this extraordinary piece is estimated to fetch.
Would have an estimate of about $5,000 to $8,000, so I think you
Wonderful.
did very, very well.
Today we have a piece of history that not only tells the story of one man's bravery, but also represents the resilience of an entire generation. This cherished bomber jacket was inherited by our guest from her father. This isn't just any jacket, it belonged to a member of the legendary 8th Air Force, also known as the Mighty 8th. Established in 1942, this unit was one of the hardest fighting groups of the war, conducting critical bombing missions across Europe. The 8th Air Force still exists today as part of the U.S. Strategic Command, providing combat-ready forces to the President. The appraiser points out the hand-painted insignia on the chest, a striking emblem of the squadron, and 30 bombs painted on the other side, each representing a completed mission.
We have 30 bombs. Each bomb was a mission.
Okay.
So that's 30 times he left not knowing if he was coming back, and that was his badge of courage. You've got everything you could possibly hope for on this coat.
On the back, we see a vibrant depiction of a US flag on a bomber plane, a testament to the pride and patriotism of its wearer. What makes this jacket even more special is the photograph of the guest father wearing it during the war. This kind of provenance adds incredible historical and emotional value, giving us a direct connection to his service and sacrifice. The appraiser marvels at the jacket's condition, calling it a complete piece with every detail collectors dream of finding. From the original stitching to the perfectly preserved artwork, this jacket is a time capsule of the Second World War. In an auction setting today, a jacket like this, steeped in history and in such remarkable condition, would be valued at an approximate
between $3,000 and $4,000.
Wow, that's awesome.
Today, we're diving into a fascinating piece of World War II history, a collection of prisoner of war folk art inherited by our guest from her father.
At a prisoner of war camp in Como, Mississippi. And these are representative of that period of time when the German prisoners were at Camp Como.
The guest shares how her father described the camp's unique organization. Prisoners were grouped by the regions they hailed from in Germany, and each group created signs representing their home areas.
There were close to 500,000 German and other POWs in the United States during the war. There were camps almost in every state of the country. Many of them were in the South because of the issues with heating the camps. It was easy to just have them in the warmer climates.
These signs became a part of camp life and were retained by her father after the war. The appraiser explains that the tradition of crafting art in prisoner camps dates back to the Napoleonic era and continued through World War II. Prisoners often created souvenir boxes, plaques, or paintings using whatever materials were available. These particular signs were made to be mounted on posts, as evidenced by the marks on their backs. One intriguing detail is a pen inscription on the Elba sign, featuring a lieutenant's name and the date 1945. The appraiser suggests this was added later, as such markings would not have survived the harsh conditions of the camps. Unlike typical POW folk art made for trade or sale, these signs were integral to the camps, serving as symbols of identity and belonging. Their whimsical designs and intricate craftsmanship reflect the skill and creativity of their makers, even in such dire circumstances.
They're amazing. Look how whimsical they are and how detailed they are. Here's the Pied Piper. They're really quite beautiful.
And the little mice down below.
So charming to see the mice down here.
The guest mentioned she has photographs of the camps, with the signs visible in their original setting, but unfortunately they're not on display today.
We have 8mm films.
Can you see the signs in the film?
We can see the signs in there. And I was down there too. I mean, the whole family was down there, so I remember the signs and I remember the camp.
The appraiser notes that these photos would have added invaluable provenance and context to the collection. Despite missing the photographs, this collection stands as a remarkable testament to the resilience and artistry of the human spirit. Collectively, these signs would fetch an impressive auction estimate of.
These would be easily $1,000 a piece, and maybe even a little bit more for some of the ones that have more detail.
This collection serves as a powerful testament to the life and service of the guest's grandfather. He played a critical role as an engineer aboard the USS Hornet, CV-12, during World War II. The Hornet, an Essex-class aircraft carrier, was completed in late 1943. It became a key component of the United States Navy's Fast Carrier Task Force, the principal offensive force in the Pacific Ocean during the war. The ship saw action in pivotal campaigns, including the Mariana and Palau Islands campaign and the Battle of the Philippine Sea in June 1944. This battle was famously dubbed the Great Marianas Turkey Shoot. The Hornet also participated in the Philippines campaign later that year and the Volcano and Ryukyu Islands campaign in early 1945. Severely damaged by a typhoon in June 1945, the carrier was returned to the United States for repairs and resumed service in Operation Magic Carpet in 1946.
The fact that those aircraft carriers were not at Pearl Harbor when it was attacked by the Japanese is the reason why we had any chance at all in the Pacific, that and the submarine campaign.
The Hornet later played roles in the Korean War, 1950 to 1953, and served as an anti-submarine carrier following a 1950s modernization. It contributed to the Vietnam War during the 1960s and recovered the Apollo 11 and Apollo 12 astronauts during the iconic moon landings. This cemented its place in both military and space exploration history. Decommissioned in 1970, the ship was preserved as a museum and designated as a National Historic Landmark in 1998, located in Alameda, California. Among the items in this collection is a photograph of the guest's grandfather. It is accompanied by a patch from the Sundowners Squadron. The appraiser highlights this as an unusual find, since squadron insignias were typically embroidered or silk-screened onto fabric.
Downer squadron, which is a fairly unusual thing. Normally they're either embroidered or silk-screened onto some sort of material like they are over there. Those would be cut out and then individually sewn onto jackets.
Another standout piece in the collection is a Mark I life vest, affectionately known as a Mae West, a nickname which came from its inflated, buxom appearance.
We did have a leather jacket, but it was so damaged that we weren't able to keep it.
That's a pity. Well, you did keep something that typically doesn't survive very well, and that's the rubber
life vest.
The life vest, exactly.
Originally belonging to Marine aviator Eldon E. Ballard, it is a rare artifact made of yellow rubber and inflated via CO2 cartridges with a manual backup tube. This vest played a crucial role in saving countless pilots during World War II.
When you're in the water, then you pull on these little cords, and that inflates the life vest, and it will balloon to be fairly large.
The Mark I vest was phased out in favor of a more rectangular design in 1942 to 1943, making this presented example particularly special. The appraiser notes that only 69,000 of these vests were produced, with only a few of them surfaced for auction. Given the strong provenance and excellent condition of this vest, it is estimated to sell at retail for an estimated sum of.
It would sell between $1,000 and $1,500.
Wow. I'm shocked.
These uniforms belong to the guest father, who served as a paratrooper during the Second World War.
He was a paratrooper in the 82nd Airborne.
These items have been in your family then?
Ever since 1944.
The appraiser reads the insignia to represent the oval of the 507th Parachute Infantry Regiment. Gallantly decorated, the uniform also features a couple of medals of recognition for the brave soldier.
His Army Good Conduct Medal, his ETO campaign, his American campaign, and World War II victory are on there also. And he was in combat long enough to earn a combat infantryman badge.
The uniform bears the oval of the 507th Parachute Infantry, complete with its jump wings and one bronze star indicating he did make a combat jump. We also have other medals on the uniform, like his Army Good Conduct Medal, his ETO Campaign Medal, and his American Campaign and World War II Victory Medal. His uniform also shows that the guest father was in combat long enough to earn a Combat Infantryman badge. The 507th Infantry was one of the units that jumped into D-Day invasion in Normandy, France. Also known for their participation in the D-Day invasion, he was instead pulled out of the line.
We see that here too because there's no arrowhead on his medal. That's the device that they put on there for individuals who participated in an invasion.
They then became cadre for the 13th Airborne, which didn't make any jump during the war. In service and on bravery, he joined another infantry and ended up jumping in Operation Market Garden in Holland.
We know that he participated in that because he has the orange lanyard that was given to the airborne outfits that participated in Market Garden.
We also have in the collection his parachutist uniform in a rather rough condition. A full paratrooper uniform kit will sell at an auction for an estimated value of
in the neighborhood of $3,500 to $4,000.
Oh, cool.
This collection is nothing short of a capsule back to a pivotal moment that changed the course of history forever.
My dad, he had, of course, during World War II, he was on the crew of the Enola Gay that dropped the first atomic bomb over Hiroshima, and so I brought a few of the items.
Inherited from her father, the items in this collection are memorabilia from World War II. He served as a crew member on the Enola Gay, which on August 6, 1945, became the first aircraft to drop an atomic bomb in warfare. Among the collection is the logbook documenting their flight, detailing the mission when they dropped the bomb on Hiroshima.
We have the log time when they flew out on August 6, 1945, and the world changed.
The guest father held the critical role of radar operator on the plane, a position vital to the success of the mission. Included are the medals he was awarded for his service, a Silver Star and an Air Medal. These honors stand as a testament to the bravery and gallantry of soldiers risking their lives on a mission that could have easily resulted in no return.
Nobody knew what would happen once they dropped that bomb out of that plane.
That's true.
And they didn't know if they would make it back.
That's true.
And these are the awards that were given to him because of that gallantry.
Also featured is a document presented to him in recognition of his awards from his country.
It says, for the first time, this bomb, more destructive than any other in existence, had been dropped from an airplane. The effect it would have on the airplane and these crew members was only to be estimated. They have no idea.
The collection showcases his badge, complete with the wings awarded to crew members and an American eagle at its center. A unique $2 bill is part of this collection, signed by all crew members, with the inscription Hiroshima Atomic Special at the top. This collection comprises predominantly rare items, and when considered with its significant provenance, we can estimate an auction value of.
I would insure this group for $15,000.
Wow, that's a surprise.
Prominently on display here is a relic of war, a soldier's uniform, its fabric weathered by time and its thread steeped in the echoes of conflict. The guest stumbled upon this remarkable treasure tucked away in the attic of a farmhouse he had purchased.
Did you know the gentleman who had the farm? Was this his uniform?
Yes, it is. And yeah, I did know him. My brother farmed the land with him for a few years.
Well, it's an interesting uniform.
Described by the appraiser as an intriguing piece, this uniform holds a tale as captivating as its design.
The gentleman was part of an operation where they dropped behind enemy lines into Norway. Quite an operation, actually, the kind of thing that movies are made of.
The story of soldiers dropped into Norway for special operations during World War II is one of unparalleled bravery, resourcefulness, and endurance in the face of overwhelming odds. As the snow-laden forests and jagged fjords of occupied Norway became the backdrop for resistance against Nazi forces, these soldiers, often part of the British Special Operations Executive or Norwegian resistance fighters, parachuted into remote wilderness under the cover of darkness. Their mission: to sabotage critical Nazi operations, gather intelligence, and ignite a spirit of rebellion among the Norwegian people.
These individuals were behind the lines, blowing up railway bridges, collecting intelligence from the locals, and just generally making a nuisance of themselves.
The soldiers often worked in complete isolation, with limited supplies and no guarantee of extraction. Many faced the harsh realities of betrayal, capture, or death if discovered. Yet their resilience was extraordinary. They utilized skis to traverse treacherous terrain, camouflaged themselves in white snowsuits, and communicated in coded messages that confounded the enemy. Their ability to blend into the local population, speaking the language and understanding the culture, was key to their success. As the appraiser points out, the majority of World War II uniforms don't fetch high prices on the market.
In most cases, a plain World War II uniform is $50 or $100 at best. And in fact, this one, with the moth damage that it has on it, which is quite extensive, would make it worth even less than that.
Unlike most, this uniform stands out for its exceptional value, thanks to the insignia it carries.
Here on this shoulder, you see the Special Forces wing, the SF wing. It's generally British made and indicative of somebody who trained with the British.
Valuable and iconic, the Special Forces wing on this piece is frequently forged by those seeking to capitalize on its rarity.
This particular wing alone, on its own, without any association to the individual, in 2014, a retail value for that would be between $1,800 and $2,000.
Enhancing its historical appeal, the uniform includes American wings and an additional set of British wings on the shoulders.
In that very same uniform, as a collector, you don't have to worry about the idea that it's a forgery. You know absolutely that this is a genuine wing. You know the history of the individual and what he did.
Considering the inclusion of the man's identification, the retail value for the complete lot today might reach.
I would expect to be between $3,000 and $3,500.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
The guest inherited a remarkable collection from his great-grandmother.
She worked for the Department of War and Department of Labor, and that she was a pack rat, and I mean, she loved to collect things.
Presented is a diverse array of United States memorabilia from the Second World War, each piece steeped in historical significance. One of the standout items in this collection is a poster featuring Rosie the Riveter, a cultural icon symbolizing the women who worked in factories and shipyards during World War II. Rosie is famously depicted in the We Can Do It poster, which has become a timeless representation of American feminism and women's contributions to the wartime economy. The featured Rosie poster advertises the Women Ordnance Worker Program, highlighting the role of women in manufacturing munitions during the war. Another poster in the collection showcases Rosie with one of her other famous slogans, emphasizing her strong and empowering image.
The girl he left behind is still behind him. Very, very popular and surprisingly really rare in the world of World War II posters.
Okay.
The third poster is a rare piece by Ben Shahn, a renowned American artist known for his works of social realism and political commentary. This particular poster, signed by Shahn, poignantly depicts a shackled man with his head covered, symbolizing the Czechoslovakian resistance during the war.
The Germans liquidated an entire village in Czechoslovakia. They killed all of the men and deported all of the women and children to concentration camps.
It was designed to resemble a radio dispatch, evoking the grim realities of wartime atrocities. Another notable piece in the collection is a simple yet impactful poster with words of encouragement for soldiers, attributed to Charles Toucy Coyner, a prominent artist of the era. The collection also includes a group of posters from the Office of Price Administration, OPA.
Trying to do some research, learned what the OPA was. I'd never heard of the Office of Price Administration. So I think these are very exceptional. You see that all the posters are folded up. This isn't a condition issue.
These posters, described by the appraiser as modern and creative, stand out for their innovative design, which seems ahead of their time. Altogether, this collection is a poignant tribute to the resilience and creativity of the wartime era. In its current condition, this collection holds immense historical value and would be estimated to sell at auction for.
We're looking at between $6,000 and $8,200, and that's just for the ones we're looking at, not for the other ones that are in the pile.
Okay.
How does that sound for a piece of history?
That sounds great.
Today we're exploring a fascinating piece of history, a ship in a bottle with a story as remarkable as its craftsmanship. This guest inherited this masterpiece from his father, who acquired it during World War II.
We picked this up during the Second World War at a prisoner of war camp in Ontario.
The guest recounts how his father brought this piece back after the war. Such works of folk art were often crafted by prisoners of war to trade for money or goods, allowing them to purchase small comforts during their captivity. The appraiser is in awe of the craftsmanship, noting that this piece stands out as one of the finest examples ever seen on the show. Inside the bottle is a meticulously detailed ship, but what truly sets this piece apart is the dynamic background. Behind the ship, we see a train labeled POW traversing a trestle bridge, a rare and poignant detail. The background also features a charming village scene, complete with a church, streets, and small riverside buildings. Adding to the maritime theme, a schooner gracefully sails up the river. The ship itself bears a label reading Varga, though the appraiser admits that its origin remains a mystery. Despite this, the label adds an intriguing layer of enigma to the piece. This ship in a bottle is more than just a decorative item. It's a unique artifact of prisoner of war folk art, embodying resilience, creativity, and the human spirit during a challenging time. Collectors of POW memorabilia and folk art alike would find this piece highly desirable. In its current pristine condition, this extraordinary work of art would command an impressive price at auction, estimated to be.
Could bring somewhere between $300 and $500.
Excellent. Excellent. I'm quite happy with that.
Today we've got a showstopper, a piece of history that's bound to take the roof off this episode. This guest has brought in an extraordinary photograph, inherited from his father, with a story as remarkable as the figure it features.
Hansen was aide to General Bradley during World War II.
Who's shown here,
yes.
Right?
And it was taken in New York and Washington, D.C. around 1947.
What we're looking at is an original photograph of none other than General Omar Bradley, commander of the 1st United States Army during the legendary invasion of Normandy. But that's not all. This isn't just a picture, it's a moment frozen in time, captured by George Thames, a renowned photographer for the New York Times in Washington, D.C. around 1947. After World War II, Bradley went on to lead the Veterans Administration, served as Chief of Staff of the United States Army in 1948, and later became the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff in 1949. By 1950, he achieved the rank of General of the Army, becoming the last of only 9 individuals to receive the prestigious 5-star rank in U.S. history. What makes this piece even more incredible are the signatures it bears, none other than Field Marshal Montgomery, General Dwight D. Eisenhower, and General Bradley himself. These 3 leaders were pivotal in orchestrating the Allied victory in World War II, and their presence on this photograph elevates it to a true historical treasure. The appraiser notes the impeccable preservation of this piece. The crispness of the photograph, combined with the clarity of the signatures, makes it a standout artifact. It's rare to see such an item in such pristine condition. This photograph isn't just a keepsake, it's a tangible link to the pivotal moments and figures that shaped modern history. Collectors of military memorabilia and history enthusiasts alike would find this piece irresistible. At auction, this exceptional photograph, with its combination of historical significance, iconic figures, and pristine condition, would command an estimated value in the range of...
I'm figuring about $3,000 or $4,000, actually.
Before us rests a letter, its tender words gracing not merely paper, but a piece of history. Written by the guest's father to their mother, this letter was sent during the harrowing days of World War II.
So mother is darling.
Mother is darling.
And where did he write this from?
He wrote it at the Eagle's Nest, Hitler's home, in Berchtesgaden, Germany.
His home in the Alps?
In the Alps.
Stamped with Der Führer, this stationery carries the title Hitler assigned to himself as the leader. Adolf Hitler, one of history's most infamous figures, rose from the obscurity of post-World War I Germany to seize power and lead the nation into a dark era of dictatorship. As the head of the Nazi Party, he harnessed widespread discontent and economic turmoil to instill a vision of racial purity, expansionism, and authoritarian control. His policies led to the outbreak of World War II and the devastation of millions of lives in what became the Holocaust. Hitler's ability to manipulate public sentiment and suppress opposition with ruthless efficiency made him a figure of fear and power, ultimately sealing his legacy as a symbol of tyranny, hatred, and the catastrophic consequences of unchecked extremism. The collection of Nazi memorabilia is a highly controversial subject, but the appraiser explains why this particular item is an exception.
I love this because it's anti-Nazi memorabilia.
In the letter, the guest's father openly expresses his contempt for the Nazis and Hitler, even using Hitler's stationery after their victory. The regiment that secured victory over Hitler played a pivotal role in the defeat of the Nazi regime. Comprised of brave soldiers from across the Allied forces, it was instrumental in the final assault on Nazi-controlled territories. The guest's father was among those who fought with unwavering determination, advancing through enemy lines and enduring unimaginable hardships. As the regiment closed in on Berlin, their courage and resilience contributed to the collapse of Hitler's stronghold, marking a decisive moment in World War II. Their victory was not just military, but a triumph of justice over tyranny and a pivotal chapter in the history of freedom. Since this piece is a family treasure, the appraiser has assessed its insurance value to be.
I would insure it between $500 and $600.
Okay, that's great.